Hi, you guys. I am literally feet from my router and it says I don't have a good connection. I need to call this cable company. Anyway, I wanted to jump on. I think I hit a little, not nerve, that's not the right expression. A little discussion started because I talked about my girlfriend Kim, who expressed to me, messaged me, saying, hey, my doctor wants to sign me out only for 1 week after my hysterectomy. What do you think? Because she knows I have had one and she knows I was a maternal child nurse before. I had worked way back. I've worked labor room, I've worked maternity and nursery, NICU, and in maternity we did have some of the hysterectomy patients. So, not only my own experience, I've been caring. So I guess it really hit a nerve because I've got messages from you and little comments. And what I wanted to talk to you about was communication. And I think it's part of why this happened to her. But it's not anyone's fault. I don't want this to be political about insurance companies or this or that hospital's bad or that doctor, and I don't think that's what it is. I think everybody's circumstance is very different. But in the broad sense, I think as women, we put us last, right? And we don't communicate our needs as well because we are used to being the givers, not the receivers. And when you have something like major surgery or you get sick, you have to be the receiver. And that's hard if you're not used to being in that role. And it's also hard for those around you. It's very hard for those around you when they're used to you being the one that's taking care of things to do that, to accept that, right? So I'm going to give two circumstances. The first one is, your own family or your friends and communication with them. And the other would be communication with something like my girlfriend that happened this morning. So this happened to me too, but at least, my doctor was going to give me a little more time. In my circumstance, I went in for a post-op. I was 2 weeks post-op, and there was a medical student, a female medical student, and he asked, could she be present? And I said, absolutely. In fact, I knew her. She had come to my classes, and I knew her from the gym. Not on a social, but as an acquaintance, so I knew her. And the whole thing, he says, oh, you're healing well. He says, you can go back to teaching at 4 weeks. He says, limited. He said, just take it easy, but you can go back to teaching. And I kind of almost fell into the lack of communication, like what happened to my girlfriend this morning. And I must have had that look on my face. And I said, well, I'm a trainer. I teach fitness now, and at the time I was still nursing in the NICU. So that would have been a 12-hour shift, mostly on your feet, right? Up and down and up and down. Granted, our patients aren't heavy, but up and down. And she said, doctor, do you have any idea what she does for a living? Now, bless his heart, he knew me from the hospital, but I think what happens is we all get in this tunnel vision. And I was being quiet, not communicating, and this med student became an advocate for me. And it made me realize, I need to be an advocate for myself. And he's like, well, yoga, you can do that. And she's like, she teaches insanity. And he said, well, what's that? So, because I had never communicated what my job and what my duties really entailed, he didn't know. He made the assumption that if I was a female and I was 50 years old, I was teaching a modified type of class when the opposite was true. And it took this young med student, she's same age as my children, to say, whoa, do you have idea what you're talking about here? Do you know what she does? And then he's like, oh no, you can't do that for 6 or 8 weeks. And I think that may be what happened to my friend this morning. I think both of them are right and both of them are wrong. In her job, he told her, it was a male doctor, told her, not that that's good or bad, but you can do light duty. Well, there is no light duty in her job. She's up and down and up and down. She has time at the desk. She has time where she's up, but she's in the position where she, at any time, may have to be quick on her feet. And I think it was lack of communication, and she's saying, well, what should I do? Should I ask him to keep me out longer? And I said, well, what you need to do is say to him, look, this is my job title, but this is what I do. This is what it entails. In an 8-hour period, this is everything that's going to go on. And communicate effectively what it really is that's going on. And both of us were not doing that. And the other thing that I think it made it come up is we're not putting our own health first, girls. And I'm sorry, guys, if you have women in your lives, realize this. We're not putting ourselves first. And we start to get ourselves healthy. And I hear all the time, both in my in-person where I'm helping people and my online virtual fitness groups, I hear all the time, well, my family won't eat that, and my husband won't support me, and which really they're excuses. And the reason it's happening again is communication. You've got to communicate. Heck, I am a fitness instructor. Steve is an awesome cook. He primarily does the shopping because he loves to cook. He's, after all this time of being back and forth with the Air Force and Air Force Reserves, he gets the opportunity to, and he likes it. And heck, I let him, right? So he's going to pick up at the store things that I don't want in the house. And what's really funny is now my daughter's saying, Dad, don't get that. And he says, well, just don't eat it. And I think that's what some of you guys are talking about, right? And I'm like, look, we have estrogen. You can't do that. Keep it in your car. And he'll be great for a while. And then it'll happen again. And it's just communication. And we laugh about it. And I think, and I was talking to my friend, I'm not going to say the name, one of the girls in the group this morning. When I get up, I check in with everybody on my virtual fitness, we have a support group. And I said, well, she's like, I told him I can't have that. And I said, well, but that's defensive. And that's making it sound like you're making him change his habits. I said, but this isn't about him. It's about you, right? So you can't force your changes on someone else. And if it's time for you to get healthy, you just say, hey, look, hon, I really need to do this for me. And I need you to help keep me accountable. Not give them tons of flack and say, well, I can't have that. That's not fair. Just say, hey, I need you to keep me accountable. Do you mind doing that when I'm not around? But the reason I jumped on is when I posted about my friend being told she had to go back to work in a week after surgery. You guys, you messaged me like wild. So if you have any questions or if that's you, comment there or message me and I'll tell you. I mean, the big thing about healing after, an organ removal is your health going in. And the healthier you are going in and the better your nutrition is going in, the faster you're going to heal. And if you at all are in the position where you have 4 weeks before that's going to happen to you, that's vital. You're going to have the energy and you're going to heal faster. And 1 week recovery for hysterectomy. Oh my God, that's crazy. Message me and I'll help you to talk to them about that. That's just absolutely crazy. But thanks for jumping on. I was going to talk about, my support group today, but this came up and I got hit with these messages. So maybe I'll jump on a little later about that. So anyway, thanks for tuning in.